discipline through the whole fight. There comes times in the fight where, I even fights I've looked up myself, my previous fights, where I sometimes do lose focus because I know that the guys probably can't hurt me or my opponents. I'm better than them skillful wise, and so sometimes you kind of take your mind off it. I mean, I've been boxing for years and years now, and when you've had long, hard camps and you're better than your opponent, you kind of lose a little bit of focus. But with this fight against Canelo, I know I can't lose any focus for one bit, because I'm up against a guy who's big, who's strong. He's a superstar in boxing basically, and I've agreed to this fight because I really believe I can win this fight, and it's up against Canelo, who's the favorite to win. I mean, I'm not supposed to win this fight. Basically, I am the underdog, and this is what kind of lifts me up. And I know in the whole fight that there's going to come a time where my body is tired, but what's going to keep me going is knowing that I am the underdog, and I want to prove a lot of people wrong. I've never been in a fight like this before. This is the first time being an underdog in any fight, because normally I'm the favorite in all the fights.
Can you talk about how satisfied you are to have gotten this caliber of a fight? Obviously, one of the biggest star opponents you can fight after the long trying to get a fight with either Floyd or with Pacquiao. That the satisfaction you have, and that did everything, and in the long run maybe work out for the best in your mind. How do you feel about that?
Yeah, everything works out for the best, and I want to thank Golden Boy for giving me this opportunity, and Team Canelo. I've always wanted to be in a big fight like this and give the UK fans a huge fight like this. They've always been supportive, they've always been behind me, and I wanted to give this one big fight, and this is my chance now to give them that big fight, but not only just give them that fight, but win this fight as well. I've always said I belong at the top, and this is my time where I show that now. But yeah, it's amazing to be headlining here with a big name like Canelo, who's a superstar. And when you read articles or you meet people have got me as as a guy who's got no chance against this guy. But this is what makes this fight really exciting for me, because I'm a guy who's supposed to walk in there and get beat, but I'm not gonna let that happen.
But was it worth the wait though, after everything you went through in the unsuccessful bids to get Pacquiao?
To be honest with you, I really believe that a fight with Pacquiao or Mayweather would have been probably easier, because it would have been more of a game of chess, and it would have been kids at the same guys at my weight. I mean, these guys would have been the same weight as me, so physically I would have been probably as strong as them, or probably stronger. Whereas with Canelo, we know physically I'm not going to be stronger than him. He's going to be the stronger guy, and obviously I know one thing I've got ahead of him is the skill, and speed and movement. So that's what I have on my side. But physically, it is going to be a tough night come Saturday night. But obviously, I knew all this before I signed the dotted line.
One other question for you. This is I think a golden age for British boxing now. I believe you have in the UK 13 world title holders, and it's a lot though. It's more than the United States in any way. But this is probably the highest profile of those fights, except perhaps when Tyson Fury won the heavyweight title.
That's right.
Can you speak about your place in British boxing and how the country is doing right now in the sport?
I mean, the country's doing amazingly, especially in boxing, and having that many world champions. I mean, we kind of inspire each other and push each other, and it's just great to see that such a small country is doing so well. I mean, it inspires me as well, because I know now, being one of the top names in British boxing, but not having a title, this only kind of motivates me and makes me train harder and work harder, especially going into this fight to win a world title. To be one of the top fighters in the country, but not having a world title, kind of makes me feel a little bit left out. So this is my time now to go there and win a world title. This is my time to win a world title now and be amongst the other world champions in Britain.
Are you aware that if you win the title, you'll be the third fighter in the history of the sport to be a junior welterweight champion and a middleweight champion?
Yeah, I mean, this is exactly, and that's what I've always wanted to do. I've always broke records. I want to always make history, and this is something. By winning this fight, this is only going to keep me in the history books, and people will always be talking about this fight. I mean, I think the last time a fight like this happened was when Leonard beat Sugar Leonard beat Tommy Hearns. Hagler, and he was the underdog going into that fight, and this is the same thing. But you've got speed versus power. In that fight, you had speed versus power, and speed always comes through.
I mean, what would you say to people and there are a lot of them, who are saying that you can talk about movement all you like, but first time Canelo lands, you're going to go?
I mean, yeah, people are going to say that. Obviously, under Virgil, I mean, we've been working a lot on the defensive side as well and making sure that the balance is there. I mean, the way the way people get put down is when you're off balance or if you get hit with a good clean shot. But I think we know that against Canelo that we don't want to be in exchanges or we don't want to be standing there giving him free shots. So we have to make sure that I am always making the right position, and also I'm always on balance. I'm in balance all the time. When I throw a shot, look, we know he can hurt me with one big shot, so I'm not going to make that mistake against him. So it's always good to know that when you go into a fight. I've never really respected the guys who have probably knocked me down or knocked me out in fights before, like the other guys like Garcia or you've got Prescott. I've never respected them because I thought these guys can't hurt me, they're my weight. This fight, I am respecting his power. I am going into this fight knowing that I can be hurt. And when you go into a fight knowing that you can be hurt, you're going to be more on the edge and your defense is going to be a lot more sharper and better.
How heavy will you be when you enter the ring Saturday, do you think? You said yesterday you thought you'll be 170, 171.
Yeah.
What about for yourself?
I think I'll be probably about probably 162, probably something like that around there.
Is that gap sufficient enough for you to be safe in the ring and also give yourself the fairest chance? If what you say is true, if he goes to 70, 71.
Yeah, I mean, I know he's going to be heavy, but look, that's why we've been sparring with the heavy guys, strong, heavy guys as well. I know sparring's a little different to a fight because the gloves are a little bit smaller and there's no head guard and stuff, but yeah, you know, I've tried my best to get the closest feeling to being in the ring with someone that heavy. But yeah, you know, we know exactly what to expect, and obviously with that adrenaline that we're going to have and all the hard work I've been putting in the gym, I know I'm going to be nice and strong regardless.
What's it like sparring with a super middleweight or a light heavyweight?
It's tough. I mean, it's not easy, you know, because normally I can hit my guys with power and speed, and it's going to back them up a little bit. You know, even guys at my own weight, which is 147. But when I hit these heavier guys and these heavier dudes, they're not going to move and they're not going to feel like they're hurt. But I think that's what's going to happen in this fight. I'm going to hit Canelo. He's probably not going to feel it, but then again, it's what's going to win this fight is skill. I mean, skill is going to win, and we've seen fights in the past where, you know, the shots might not hurt the opponent, but and they did the scoring shots, and it's all about
You really
scoring the
don't
right
think you
shot.
can hurt him? I mean, you were a pretty good puncher as a junior welterweight, even as a welterweight. But
Yeah, I mean, I think I can, but like I said, I'm going into this fight thinking that I don't have the power to because he's going to be the stronger one, and obviously maybe that's what's going to surprise him, really.
Assuming that you get past Canelo, I mean, do you have plans to remain at this weight if you have the world title? Because I know you mentioned that, you know, guys who fight at that weight should defend the title at their weight.
Yeah,
What would you
definitely.
do?
I mean, it just depends really what's out there, really. I mean, if I'm going to be forced into a bigger fight and heavier guys, and then it might be. I mean, look, at the end of the day, I need to look after my health. I'm not going to go into a fighting guys who are just naturally too big. So, and that's something to think about, really, you know. And there's some great names in the 160-pound division. So, look, end of the day, I'm not one to say I'm going to be the 155 champion because it's not a weight category. I'm going to, you know, that title needs to be at 160 really give the other fighters a chance to win it.
Amir, those names Pacquiao and Mayweather came up again. That period where you missed out on those fights, how much did you worry that you'd missed your chance that you'd never be involved in a fight of this scale?
I never really worried I won't be in a fight like as big as this one. Well, it upset me just waiting around for these people, for those guys, and you know, and having a big chance against a big name. Really, I knew one day, you know, I can fight in a big fight like this, but I don't think it was going to be this soon. I thought it would take a little bit more time. But you know, luckily it happens quite quick, and I'm glad it happened now, whereas I'm in my peak of my career, instead of it happening quite late in my career.
What does it mean to you in that big a fight that you'll fight? That would be your first fight at T-Mobile in this town and that kind of arena.
Yeah, I'm quite excited because it's the first big fight at the T-Mobile arena, and that's history on its own. You know, people always talk about the big first fight there, and to win it as well would be even amazing. You know, so I'm really looking forward to the arena. I heard that it looks amazing. I'm not been in there yet, so I'm looking forward to it.
Hey Amir, did the year off for you hurt or help you?
I think it helped me more than anything because, you know, whenever you take a year out of the ring, most guys will go on a vacation, take a holiday, they'll spend time with the family, they'll put weight on, and they won't be in the ring, they won't be in the gym training. But with me, I was in the gym. I mean, I remember, you know, maybe about 2 months after the last fight, I was back in the gym training and working on my strength and conditioning, and also working on my skill set on the boxing side where I know I was making mistakes. There's a lot of mistakes I made in the last fight which I wasn't happy about, and I thought I need to improve them myself. So that's why I went back to the drawing board and I was working on those mistakes. So I've been training since probably last
So you
November.
You kind of had to be felt you had to be ready for in case somebody called, right?
Exactly,
In case
yeah.
they were to call.
Regardless, I know I was going to fight again. So that's why I wanted to be back in the gym and working on my mistakes. And I've never really done that before. For the last 2-3 fights, I have been spending more time in the gym in between fights. Doing mini camps with Virgil as well, flying to San Francisco. And then I got the call for this fight, and I thought, I'm glad I've got all this in the bag already, because it was all just extra work really, and it's going to benefit me in this fight.
He asked you about going up, or if you win, would you stay at 160 and defend the title? You talked about the big names in the weight class. As champion, your mandatory would be Triple G, which is the fight that a lot of people talk about for Canelo. Has that even entered your mind that contemplated, like, I could have to fight Golovkin, or unless you gave up the title?
Yeah,
That's a big.
it's a big fight. Exactly, it's a massive fight, and like I said, I've always wanted to be in a big fight, and I want to see how I feel in this fight against Canelo, how strong I feel, and you never know. I mean, this could be a good weight for me, being at 160. So being in this division, and if I do win this fight, I'm gonna stay up probably 160 and defend that title. I've won the title for a reason. Also, I am the mandatory for the 147 title as well, so I know I can go back there and make that 147 weight as well. So it's just something to think about, But there are some big names like Triple G and other big names out there, and I'm not saying no to them. I just want to see how all the performance and everything goes for this fight, and then take it from there.
In your head, which fight is bigger, a fight with Triple G in the States or a fight with Kell Brook overseas?
I think probably Triple G would be bigger. I mean, yeah, Kell Brook would be a big fight in the UK, but I still say, he definitely needs to fight a few more bigger names to make that fight even bigger. I mean, it would be a big fight in England, yeah, but we can make that fight a global fight, by him fighting some big names around the world. In America, come over here, fight some big names instead of fighting, all these mandatories who's facing. I think if he steps up his game, the fight could be even bigger. I mean, look at me, I'm fighting the biggest names in boxing. If you look at my last 10 opponents, they've been big names. If you look at the last 10 opponents of Kell Brook, is it really worth fighting someone like him? Because he's not really, he's not a world title, I admit that, but it's just that I want him to face more better opponents. That way the fight will be even bigger.
Is there a feeling that Kell Brook fight might never happen?
Yeah, that my fight might never happen either. I'm in a position where in America I'm getting some big super fights. Even I can take some big super fights from here back to England, which I'm thinking of doing next. So the Kell Brook fight might never happen. Yeah, it might just never happen. But like I said, we take every fight step at a time. I've made that mistake before where I've looked past a fight and looked ahead into the future fights, and you may start making mistakes. You kind of lose that focus. I'm not going to do that, now. And like I said, we'll take a step at a time. Let's get past this fight, and we'll sit down with the team and see where we go from here.
Okay, guys, we're going to have to wrap it up.
2 more minutes.
Do you expect 10 pounds, or how different do you expect it the way for the fight?
Yeah, in the fight, I expect him to be probably about 10 pounds heavier than me. I think that's what I expect Canelo to be. Even though Canelo says he's not a 160-pound fighter and he fights at 155, I think that's nonsense. But yeah, he will be probably walking to the ring at probably 175 or something, or 170. I really think he'll be quite heavy. But look, whatever he brings, I've signed up to this fight. So whichever way he comes to the ring at, I'm going to be ready, because I expected this before I signed that dotted line.
Did you try to get that number down?
I tried to, yeah, but obviously I tried to bring the weight down a little bit to maybe like 153, 154, but I had no.
The rehydration.
There was no rehydration. Yeah, they didn't want to do a rehydration. They did not want to do that. Yeah. So obviously my team want the best for me. I wanted to make sure that it was going to be a little bit more fairer for me, but they don't want to do it. So I said, look, that's fine. If they don't want to do it, then I'm going to beat him at what he's happy at. And when I beat him at the weight he's happy at, then there's no excuses for him.
Okay, thank you, guys.
Him and his team.
Thanks, Amir.
Thank you, Amir.
Appreciate it very much.